Hey, everybody, and welcome to another video of Keeping It Spiritually Simple. I'm here today with Dr. SHARNAEL. She's a naturopath, mother of five, and there's so much more about her that you can look at the links below, find out more information, get a session, take a course, buy a book. I'm not going to waste your time talking about it right now because you're probably not going to hear anything I have to say anyway, because it's all about her at the moment. So welcome, lady.
Welcome. Thanks for having me. Good to
Oh,
see
you're
you.
so welcome. Well, I'm excited to hear. So Doctor of Naturopath, I don't know that a lot of people really understand what that really is, and then all the things that you're excited to do with that naturopathic degree. Because I know it's more extensive into energy work, into herbs, into specific testing for which vitamins assimilate better at which times. And, a lot of our MDs don't get any of that. They're out here doing videos right now about all this stuff. But in my mind, I'm like, where was your course in pharmaceuticals break that you went into vitamins? I mean, where was that in your medical school? So thank God we have people like you, naturopaths, that are here sharing a lot of this information. And we're here right now not to be persecuted and run out of town either. So what a perfect time to be alive.
Yes, ma'am. I like to look at the root issues. To me, if we can get to the root, then we don't have to chase our tail with all these symptoms and, keep running into problems with that. And everything is frequency. So, yeah, you're going to see cats
Yeah,
jump in here too. I
I
work
love it. I love
at
it.
a local
They're like,
shelter here.
frequency, look at this. Look what I can do.
Yeah.
I'm kneading on your chair.
Speaking of frequency, yeah, let me jump in here.
Yeah. Okay, so um root causes. Boy, that's a big one. That's a big one. And now I know that we have a lot of devices out here that I'm going to tell you, I know a lot of people are jumping on, oh, I need to get this one, I need to get that one, but they may not be understanding what devices they're actually buying, who's calibrating them, meaning where they're really coming from, what do they really do for the body. And I know that's something you're very passionate about.
Yeah, and just what is the purpose? Like what there's a lot of devices and most of them are crap, sad to say. There's a big kick and a big trend when people look for where they can make money. So I've done a lot of testing on not only medical energy stuff, but supplements and vitamins and companies and like essential oil companies and testing what's in the bottle. And I'm kind of a purist and I don't like putting anything on my skin or inside my body unless I know where it's coming from and what exactly it is, because there's just so much mixture and just it's very confusing. And especially around this time where people are looking for things to help with harmony in their body and or Christmas, and so they're like, let's figure out how to get healthy and get better, and looking for tools for that. Then there's so many things out on the internet with whether it's EMFs or the next cool ed- energy medicine or whatever, and it comes across kind of hokey pokey because so many people have trouble with whatever they bought. Then they kind of throw everything out with the bathwater. And there are good things that can help us and can support us. It's just a matter of really knowing what and who to trust. And let's face it, trust has been broken. And there's just so much greed and people who are trying to take advantage, and it's kind of sad. But in the midst of it, we're good people. There are good people with good products and great things to help support our body and help the cells to remember what to do on their own. I'm not like a big fan of like having to keep going back to someone over and over again. I don't mind touching base, but I like to be able to help myself and my family. And I like to train other people to be their own good steward of their own body and their family, and, to help with their family. So that's I'm not only teaching about that, but then offering some services and support to people. And we can do it all online. So it's really easy. I used to have my own practice, but it flooded in 2016, and it was actually a short thing anyway. But I work with wellness centers all over the country, and actually outside of the country. I've been to 44 countries teaching conferences and helping with wellness centers all over. So, I'm just trying to help serve and let people do what they're really meant to do, because each of us, we all do different things. And if we're sick and not feeling well, or don't have the energy, or don't sleep well, or we feel overweight and not confident about ourselves, then it takes away from why we're here in the first place. And you have a call, and everyone else has an individually set, customized call to be here in this season and time. And let's face it, if you're in bed and you don't feel like doing whatever that is day to day, then you're not going to be the sharpest support to everyone else, and let alone yourself or your family. So I like to just hone in on what's going on, clear that, and help people get to that next thing, so everyone can get on their way to do what they're supposed to do and make the world better.
Well, sure. I mean, what I had this vision when you were saying that is like, as soon as you help them take the training wheels off, they don't need to keep turning around and coming back to you to learn how to ride the bike in balance, right? I mean,
Yes.
I used to tell people all the time, I'll take your money if you really want me to take it, but the goal is to get you off on your own and empower you, which goes back to I think one of the quotes you has goes something like, to empower you to make higher choices.
Yes.
And that is, I think that's our goal, is how do we not just coast, but how do we excel? And now, of course,
Yeah.
the big word is ascend, but how do we keep going and become better and better and better? Because who the hell wants to stay status quo all the time? I mean, you're going to reach 60 and 70 and go, I never completed jack crap on my list because I was so comfortable. And sometimes it takes a drama or a trauma to make those changes, but that's getting hit on the head because you're not listening. And then again, when you're getting your swamp filled with all of this stuff that's put out there right now, because let's face it, everyone's gotten on their soapbox to talk about, you got to do this to ascend, and if you've got that, you're not going anywhere. And it's always this polarization of here or here. And a lot of these people are not really speaking from the heart in a truthful
Yeah.
way that they've learned about it. They're doing it more for greed or for negativity or just to run their mouth. There's a lot of people out there just running their mouth. Let's just face it. Just gonna say it.
Yeah, you're right. It's funny, and it's sad, but in the midst of it, there are true amazing people, and we are finding each other, and we're helping support one another, and doing what's important, and really really making a difference. And that's what I'm doing every day. I'm trying anyway, at least trying, and completing that. We have thousands of testimonies from people that I've worked with every day, whether they come to a class, or to get a consultation, or some biofeedback, or soul audit, whatever, read the book. I have so many great testimonies just from my latest book, of people just getting some basic things to start putting in their tool bag and their practice, and seeing some good results and feeling better. So that's kind of the goal. Is I just want to, like you said, empower people. And I have used that analogy with the training wheels. It's like, you want to be 40, 50 years old with training wheels. Like, I don't need you to keep coming back. Like, let's get your body to remember how to do what it's supposed to do on its own. And we might need a kickstand or some training wheels at the beginning, but eventually the cells, they know what to do. They're programmed with God, in God. So God knows what to do. God in you knows what to do. Source code is real, and it's in your cells. Everybody who's watching knows what to do intuitively. Sometimes it's just accountability. Sometimes it's just an extra edge of, push in that frequency, or just information. Sometimes it's education. There's a lot of different ways that I kind of look at everything, but I do want to look at the mind, body, and the soul. So all of those things are what's important for integration. Is not just like thinking about it, but actually applying it, doing it, and then looking at the emotions too, because 86% of all physical issues have to do with emotions and trauma. So I end up looking at a lot of that too, and we can see that on a bioscan what's going on with someone, or even in the soul audit, we can see the top 5 blocks and clear those. And sometimes just removing 5 major blocks actually can springboard someone into like whatever their next thing is, and really get some traction with who they are and what they're called to do. And so that's kind of my thing in a nutshell.
Well, I think that's super important because many of us don't come equipped with that, and I was getting this view of like when you're a child, so many children break their arm, right? You can go and have it set, put a cast on it, get past the first couple nights of pain. After a while, kids are resilient. They forget they broke their arm, but they still store the emotional components to it. And it can come out as an adult. And so I like what you're saying is let's deal with all of that together, putting it all together and dealing with that. And we need to have the equipment, the tools, the spiritual tool belt, the mental tool belts, the heartfelt tool belts to assist people to get to being open and available to being who they really authentically are, instead of what I want to call the effort buckets that they're carrying around all the time. They're getting
Wait, the
heavier.
what bucket?
Effort buckets. I don't want to say the word too loud, but you know what I mean. It's
Yeah.
just like instead of using the effort bucket as a tool to release a lot of this drama, they're carrying it around and it gets heavier and heavier every decade, every year that you're here,
Yeah.
along with all the other stuff that's happening. So awareness is key. So I like
Yes.
the fact that you're teaching it all together. So let's talk a little bit about one of the devices you were just mentioning.
Yeah, I mean, we have grounding devices, we have parasite frequency zappers that, parasites don't like that sound. The grounding device we have, it just goes around your wrist or your ankle, like when you're sleeping or just watching Netflix or working on the computer. Biofeedback is huge because we can customize what you're lacking and send it back remote. And so people feel it. You can actually feel it long distance, even other countries. And people will say like, oh my gosh, well, how does that work? I don't really know, to be honest, how it works. I just know it works. Like, I don't know how the cell phone works exactly, but I get on it and I call people and I listen to people and I can get my messages and look at Facebook or whatever too. So, with frequency, we are frequency. Our body is 67 megahertz on a healthy adult day. But if you drop, then you're going to start having problems. And there's different things that cause us to drop, and there's different things that cause us to bump up and go higher. And my goal is to literally raise your vibration and to get you to not only raise it, but to anchor it in and hold it so you can do whatever you're supposed to do and not have to completely, go up and down, back and forth, and what have you. So that's probably biofeedback would be a really good place to start, because I can get a snapshot of not only what's going on in your field, but we use Evox to see what's going on even in your voice, because everything that's going on in your body will show up in frequency in your voice, or whoever we're working with, not you specifically, but
Mhm.
and then we customize some frequencies that would balance those things out, and then we send it back to you. And once it gets to you, like I said, the first time I had it done to me, a doctor was 2 states away, and I immediately was like, oh my gosh, I can feel what's happening. I didn't know that he was going to do it. Like he had just got the technology and was kind of like guinea pigging with me. He had a few other doctors that he was testing, and I had saw him in real life. And then he was like, okay, just let me try this on you. I'll get to it whenever. And then I kind of forgot about it. And then I sent him a text and I was like, hey, did you do it yet? Because I was just wondering. He was like, oh no, I forgot. I'll get to it. Things have been crazy. Kind of forgot about it again. And then one day I was at work and I was just like, wow, I feel weird. And I had to go sit down, and we just kind of sat on the couch, and literally it was like 2 in the afternoon. And I said to my husband, I think he's doing it. Like, I have a feeling like he must be doing it. And then that was like the last thing that I said. And then next thing you know, I was like totally out. And I don't sleep during the day. I don't sleep with lights on. but I conked out for 12 hours. And when I woke up to grab my phone to ask him, like, did you do that? Did you do something? He was already texting me like 5 minutes to 12 and saying, hey, I'm about to start. But I didn't even get that far because I was just gone. So now, not everybody responds that way. I'm not going to knock you out from far away, but some people have come back and said dreams, libido, lost weight, got a ton of stuff done as far as like projects that they had been putting on the back burner, and now they were like able to, concentrate and do everything with ease, get order in their house, get rid of a bunch of stuff like clutter in the house, and, just energy to do things like I think the top things that people come to me for are usually like sleep issues, hormone stuff, weight, stress, energy in general. Those are the kind of the top things. Of course, there's other things that people come to me for too, but those things are, if you can work on those things and get those things intact and really functioning at a sharp thriving state instead of a survival kind of deal, then you're gonna have clarity in your mind. The intuition really kicks in, and dreams, visions, ideas. We've had people who got book situations, they find their divine partner. Alignment is so important, and when you're aligned in one area of your life, it doesn't just limit you to that area. If you pee in the pool, it gets everywhere. There's not like a pee section of the pool or a smoking
What?
section in a restaurant, right? Like energy is energy, and it affects every area no matter what your situation is. So, just starting on the inside and working through those things, you'll see it cross over to every area of your life once we start moving and shifting things and then holding it. That's important. It's just finding some daily practices that hold that and anchor in those frequencies until your body remembers how to do it without even thinking.
Yeah, because I don't think most people realize that they're yo-yoing on vibrational frequencies all day long and they don't know how to control it. So you become a prime host for parasites. And I don't mean just the parasites that you ingest. I'm talking parasitic people, opinions of parasitic opinions and judgments that you take on as your own because inside you there's something that resonates with that, right? So if you're raising your vibration and you're no longer a happy host for these ridiculous hitchhikers of despicable things, then you begin to see who you authentically are. And that's, most people are naturally happy people. They just become unhappy because of situations. And then all of, again, these parasitic things that you attach yourself to, and you give permission to it because most people aren't aware how to, first of all, what is a frequency that I can recognize that I feel good in, and number two, how can I stay there and how can I maybe rise above it? So you can be adaptable all day long based on your situation or what you're doing. So I feel like what you're talking about is bringing awareness to that so that people can harmonize all of their frequencies and become a better symphony, be your own orchestra. Yeah, even if
That's
it's
so,
solo, because I'm a solo orchestra person.
yeah, that's awesome. That's beautiful. I love it. Yeah, I mean, it's when we work on ourselves, then we're really helping everybody. And I think a lot of the programming is, let me try to fix you and then I'll feel better instead of working on me. So whatever you're doing doesn't affect me anymore. And with us being women, to anything that we do within us, it will automatically shift your partner, your children, and everything, because we carry all of that inside of us forever. You can do an autopsy, and that's found because we all connect on an energy level through blood, through cells, through intimacy, those kind of things. And I think too, going back to what you were saying about the yo-yo frequency, first of all, yeah, we do have people in our lives that can be an opportunity for either stabilizing yourself no matter what's going on, and or just going with the flow of whatever else everybody is. But then there's also things like media and entertainment and 5G and water and food and all that kind of stuff that's out there that, you know, we're either aware of and we're not, and how it affects us. And so eating really good food, getting grounded, being in nature, getting sunshine, staying away from anything that's low vibe, like I mentioned, getting below that 67 megahertz is that's where we're having problems. And so,
Hmm.
you know, staying connected to things that are 67 and above, and then just being really, really grounded will be super, super helpful to you and all of us being the sharpest tool in the tool bag and really doing what we're born to do. And nobody, you know, nobody came here just to be in bed and sick and not feel good and have no energy and not procreate or have other social connections. You know, we're meant to be with others, and we're meant to love, and we're meant to help one another and support one another, and separation is just an illusion anyway. So I need you, you need me, we all need each other, and whether you like it or not, that's the way it is. And so just focusing on myself and me kind of sounds selfish, I guess, in a way, but it's really oxygen mask first, and then as I'm good and I have a full cup, then I'm able to support one another, support others as well, and do what I'm called to do, if that makes sense.
Makes total sense. And you're talking my language. I mean, I'm always about work on your own column of light first, work on all of giving of service to yourself first. Um, we're coming through this time right now where it's holiday and it's gift giving and gift receiving. And a lot of people, it's easier for them to give a gift because they receive energy back from what they've given, but they're not gracious receivers, right? And so, in this harmony of frequency, we have to learn to be good givers to ourselves and how to be of service to ourselves in order to be of service and be a good giver and receiver. So, that's transmitter thing as a human, I think is freaking off big time. But we've got more people like you, myself, and others who are out here talking about balancing thyself. Balancing thyself will help balance the equilibrium within your home, within your demographics, within Mother Earth. And if you think for 1 second, well, it's just little old me, what? Let somebody else do it because I don't know. It is about you, and it's your freaking job to get with it. That's your awakening. Get with that job and get it aligned, and getting together with someone like you who's written books, who's a mother, who works with other healing centers around the world with all different educational backgrounds of people that you're working with, and helping just at least raise the vibration. It's sort of like a lot of people are drowning, but if you can come up just enough to get some air, just enough, and stay there just long enough, imagine what it's going to feel like if you can get your mouth above it and get your head above it and get out of it, right? But still understand why those experiences are happening.
Yes, I agree. And especially with our young people coming up, like just being able to be good examples and leaders so we can train them and or like help encourage them into whatever their niche is, so they can continue on when we're long gone, that this world will be a better place.
Well, I think that's our goal, is to help each generation become better. But when we actually sit back as, I don't know how to say the word, but when you see what has really occurred, it's a travesty and it's sad, but you can't dwell on it. You have to be able to recognize it and say, okay, I'm here and now. What can I do in this moment to make it better? What can
Yes.
I do in this moment to be a lifeline, not just to myself, but to others? So, when you do a lot of your work, do you do a lot of it via Zoom? Do you work with somebody energetically and then send them a report? Or does that vary on what techniques you're using?
Yeah, it just depends. I mean, obviously you can if you go to my website, I have a ton of online courses that are just educational, like teaching people how to do muscle testing, how to have a keto type lifestyle, as sometimes people, that's important, depending on if they're dealing with certain things that I can't say that are non-compliant.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely, just supporting people where they're at. So if you need a private consultation or a biofeedback scan, then we get some information enough to be able to enter you into the software, and then it's sent to you. And then if you order a consultation, yeah, we'll do a Zoom or Facebook Live or something, where we can connect and go over the results, and then maybe give some suggestions on what we can do to get there together. Because I don't like just doing all the work. I want like synergy. I want there to be, I'm working, but you're working too, and we're working towards that common denominator. But yeah, I mean, with the books and stuff, you could just read books. I have my card deck, crystals, crystals, oils, and decrees. So I mean, I was just talking to a lady right before you, where she was having OCD thoughts, and I was like, okay, you know what, find a couple of decrees, and when you catch yourself with those OCD negative thoughts, you got to stop it in its tracks and replace it right away. If we try not to think about it, then it's going to give more focus on what you're not thinking about or what you're not doing, or energy to that thing, versus like replacing it instantly and making that be the focus. So there's this trajectory of something positive going forward. But I think a lot of times we're not even thinking about what we're thinking about. We're just like OCD, kind of ruminating, marinating on what do they think about me, and what are they saying, and what if this happens, and all the fear type, things going on with the news and politics and what have you. There's a lot of reason to be very confused and worried, if we get stuck in that train of frequency, versus like coming up higher, staying sovereign, focusing on what we can work through, and what we are doing to make things better, instead of that kind of like trap of being entangled into something low and not so great serving. I had this
Mm-hmm.
mental picture of like being in a boat. You remember, you're probably old enough, I don't, where people are like talk about like pulling something in the water, or somebody drowning and trying to pull them up, versus just like pulling them down. It's easier to get pulled down than up if you're not real stable and have good footing, and actually know who you are and what you're doing, and understand love, and stay in that love and that frequency of love, and coming from that place of love. And instead of being reactive, being really responsive, which is a good opportunity right now, lots of times throughout the day, to either freak out and be like, oh my God, and then call 19 friends or post it on Facebook or whatever, versus like just internalizing things, looking at stuff through a half empty kind of cup or half full kind of cup, versus that negative, and just, not spinning it, but having an observing perspective, a healthy observant perspective of things from a distance, without feeling like taking it on so personal. Which right now, I don't know a better time to do that with everything that's going on in the world, for sure. So that's an opportunity for all of us, really.
Well, and you're talking about the water and the drowning. We all in our mind know you don't jump in to save a drowning person. You need to throw them a lifeline, a tool of some sort, right? And help guide them in. And when we're hearing all of this outside of us, what's coming, what you need to do, or this fear stuff, we get so outside of ourselves, we're not even making the best decisions for ourselves in the here and the now, right? Because we're not in there. Using the analogy of giving yourself oxygen, giving yourself water and food before you try to go out and give other people air and food. You can't do it if you're running on fumes yourself. You can't give the best speech when you haven't had enough hydration and physical, mental, emotional support for yourself before you go out and give of yourself. But yet we're taught to run on drained veins so much of the time, right? And it's not healthy. And we're here to say, let's tap into how we feel. We get to a frequency of how we feel, we make better choices. Like you said, we empower to make higher choices on the daily, not just once in a while. And being in tune with your intuition is just your higher wiser self, right? That
Yeah.
becomes part of you. Call it what you want. And you need to fine tune that too, because, your instinct can stink. As I said the other day, people talk about agape and unconditional love. And I said, people think they have agape and it's sloppy. It's just sloppy because
That's funny.
we're not really truly stop, drop, sitting, connecting with our breath and doing the work, opening the window up and saying, this is going to be tough, but I signed up for this and I'm okay with it. Because once I master a couple of these tools, the next tool won't be so heavy, and then I can help others maybe take some different avenues that won't be so difficult, but we can't rob anybody else of their journey and their experience by trying to fix them.
Yeah,
And that's what a lot of people do. They
I
want to
agree.
go out and try to solicit and freaking convert you to their way of doing things when you're taking them away from their visceral rock bottom or their experiences that they need to do. But I like the fact that you're using different modalities within your practice, to find some root causes of maybe just one, two, or three things that is their major problem at the moment, because we all have a lot of them.
Yeah, I
Because
mean,
when you
for
clean up one, the next thing you know, like, shit, I've got some more.
yeah, yeah, it's like one pops up and the next
Yeah,
pops up. But
yeah.
yeah, I mean, like for example, and social media has a great opportunity for that too, because what you said about like going around trying to fix everybody, there's a lot of that where people just literally come on your page and like want to fight or argue or say something completely opposite of what you just posted right on your own platform, and so even with social media, there's great opportunity to just love and let people be. It's like, okay, whatever, that's cool where you're at. I can relate. I was there before, but I'm not there now. So I'm just going to be quiet and let you get your figure it out, and maybe they'll figure it out. Maybe they won't figure it out, but it's not our job to convert, like you said. That's a very unconditional, that's a very conditional love
Mm-hmm.
of like, I will like you or love you if you, sorry, my phone's going off.
No,
If
that's okay.
you think like me, or if you do what I need you to do, or whatever, that is very conditional. And so loving and observing and just being okay with where people are at is so important right now. And it can be a little crazy, especially if it's someone you really love, someone who's a family member, someone who, lives in your home, or someone you've grown up with, or whatever. And it's like, but still that's their choice, and that's what they're picking to do. And yeah, it's whether it's your parents or your kids or your friends or whatever. Of course, we want everybody to have their best life, right? But it does rob, like you said, if we're trying to be too pushy or controlling, or like, listen to me and my way is the only way. There's lots of ways. There's lots of ways, and our way may not be the best way for them. And the more we're cognitive and aware of not being that to someone else, is the less you're going to get back, because everything is karma. And when we start trying to push and pull and navigate and force, then we're going to get a lot of that back, and everything is going to be a mirror. So just being aware of that too is something that's really important in this season.
Yeah, I know one of the lessons for me is, I'm pretty wise, and so when I'm in conversation with people, I can easily say, well, this would work or that would work. And I had to learn a long time ago. I think a good astrologer had said to me, "You're always there before you're asked permission to be there." So I'm like, you're right. I do, because it's easier for me to tackle something than it is for most people. So I'm very different than my siblings. They're more of a conservative Christian family. I'm more of a, like, hey, what's the philosophy of the day? Let's learn this, let's learn that. Let me put a little purple in my hair. And, I don't want to be like, it took me a lot of decades to get there. And like, your opinions don't matter. I mean, sure, if you want to have that opinion, I'm going to let you have it. If you want to think this of me, you really don't know the truth, and that's okay too. And I think when you're raising your vibration, you begin to say, you know what, I'm okay wearing plaids and stripes today and skipping around on my bare feet because I don't really care what anybody else thinks of me. And that's what happens when you can tap into a different space of loving yourself. And that's the whole goal of raising the vibration. And people come to you thinking it's more of like, well, it's health, it's energy levels, it's this or that. Sure, you're helping them on all of that. But what I'm seeing while you're talking is people being able to get some more skip in their jump and feeling the more joy that they may not have felt if they hadn't had a health condition or an emotional condition that brought them to you in the first place.
Oops, absolutely. You're right.
Yeah.
And I think, that's the goal, is letting people just have not, not surviving, but thriving and enjoying life and being able to do whatever it is they're called, whether it's abundance, their job or their purpose, if it's family or really every category, honestly, is affected by health and emotions. And so when, a lot of that stuff is going on kind of in the background, taking all this energy, whether we're thinking about it cognitively or not, it's still kind of like running tapes in the background. And it depletes from the focus of where someone could be if all of this isn't, going on underneath, and so what I like to do is, in a gentle way, clear this part so all of that focus can come up and be out and moving freely with ease and with love, and kind of redirecting some of that energy that's really isn't serving anyone, and it's in a gentle way too, because like if you go to like a traditional therapist, they're going to want you to talk about things over and over and over again and like replay it and revisit it. How did you feel about this and blah, blah, blah. Well, your limbic system can't tell the difference between imagination and real. So the minute that we tap into that memory or what that situation was and keep talking about it and regurgitate it, your physical body can't tell the difference between if this is happening now or if this is a memory. And so it has all of those side effects, I guess is a good way to say it, where you can get reactive again and just talking about it and reliving it. This is a way where we can clear all of this, and you may not even know this was going on. You don't have to know what's going on. You don't have to know what happened when you were 2 years old and your dad walked out on your mom and what words were said or blah blah blah, but all of that's recorded and in your body. And if we
Mm-hmm.
can clear that and leave more room and more energy to come up to focus on, I don't know, if you really like to garden, or if you really like helping animals, or if you, really enjoy seeing people have good marriages and helping people with that, or whatever your thing is. I mean, everybody has their thing. And if that energy can be more directed and focused towards something positive instead of all of this like extra bandwidth used for like things that are not serving us at all. And so I love is one of the reports is electric, one of the reports is emotional, one of the reports is your spine, and one's your hormones, one's, there's all these different reports that we look at, and then we start clearing everything that isn't in alignment. So the major portion of what you could be working on and what you enjoy working on can be the focus instead of all this kind of like background noise, if that makes sense.
It makes total sense. And I think people underestimate the hormonal imbalances within men and women and the inhibitors that we partake of every day within our skincare, within our sunscreens, within so many things that,
Cleaning supplies.
oh
Oh
my
my gosh.
gosh. I
Yeah,
mean, if you were to really
shampoos,
just,
breezes. Yeah.
mm-hmm, if you were to take like just a list one day of everything that you spray, you do, and you use, you'll realize if you're at 100 chemicals, you know, it's thousands. But if you're at 100, you're doing good. So I guess you probably work with all of that too. It's not just the vibrational thing, but then also how to begin to do a little bit of product clearing, food clearing. And I think
Yeah.
when your vibration is higher, you become more sensitive to certain things. And then you're automatically aware of, oh, I did not feel good after I used that, although I used that for 20 years. Now that I've rose, my vibration has risen. that no longer resonates with me. And
That's
so a
so
lot of people that are going even just through the ascension stuff, I don't really like to use all that as symptoms of ascension while you're going through your own vibrational changes, right? You're going to notice people, places, things don't resonate with you anymore.
so
And then
true.
some people will dive into a depression about that. Like, we're not friends anymore. Oh my gosh, everything's changed. I'm by myself. Well, sometimes we have to separate, go back into self, and then come back out. And then there's different tribes that you resonate with, but
Yeah.
you've got to trust the fact that those are coming, that
Yes.
it's going to happen, but you need to retreat. And to do a retreat, you've got to call people like you and go through some of these things, no matter what the catalyst you think is that brought you, whether it's tiredness, acid reflux, you know, microbiome off balance. I'm just naming a few, or emotional stress, or whatever you think it is. It doesn't matter what the catalyst is. Everyone could benefit from looking at some of the tools that you use and raising your vibration. Because even if you think you're at a high vibration, you may find that you
There's
can get
room
up a
to
little
grow.
higher. Yeah,
Yeah, there's
there's
always
always
room.
room.
Yes,
I
there's
love it.
always upgrades.
Yeah.
Upgrades are awesome. And you're right. Yeah, I mean, whether it's people, or you could have like a food allergy, or you could have a chemical that you're just really not doing well with, like for hormone disruption. Um, but we can find, we get to, I just worked with a lady the other day, and she was allergic to corn and she didn't know it, and it showed up on a report. And it's like, some of that stuff is like, oh, I didn't even know that was a thing. And now just one little tweak, and she's, having her best life or whatever, so I like clearing anything that's not serving anymore, and then making better choices. And you're right, you know people and things are very fluid. When you start shifting, things start shifting, and some of it is like, even your taste buds can change. Like, you can come back and be like, you know what, I don't really like, I'm not even craving coffee anymore, I don't like sweets as much as I used to, or what have you. Or it could be an electrical issue, whether 5G could be really really hitting your cells and causing fatigue and causing headaches or whatever, maybe some sleep disruption. And sleep is huge. If we're not sleeping really well at night and getting that deep delta sleep, then your body isn't regenerating, and you're not defragging all the things that aren't important to you, because your defrag is like from 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. If you're not sleeping really well during that time, you're not getting rid of these things. And so we'll wake up carrying what all we had before, and then adding more to it, which, there needs to be some movement with that, where some things go, and letting things go. And so a lot of this technology helps move these things out, so you make room for more God and more love and more joy, for abundance. I work with a lot of people who have negative patterns, where maybe they have tried to buy a house 3 times, and every time, they do a contract and whatever, and something falls through. Or something with partnership, where they have like a guy who always cheats, or whatever, you fill it in a job where you always attract a certain type of person that causes problems or whatever. It's like those kind of patterns too. Again, that's what I'm talking about. You cannot differentiate one thing from the other. Everything works together. So as you clear all of that too, and then you start getting different responses from people that are helpful and supportive and loving and kind, and the job comes through, and the house comes through, and the people start showing up, and abundance starts happening, because that alignment even has to do with money. And you
Mm-hmm.
could be blocking money options, or just abundance in that, or wealth. So creativity and ideas, you could have all the ideas in the world, but maybe not the resources of the people to be in place to help you implement those things. And so that could be an energy, stagnation, where we need to clear that. So there, and we can even look back at generational stuff. Sometimes it'll pick up and say, okay, well, this is a really low number. We know this is probably part of your DNA package that you were incarnated into, and now you're here to fix and to switch and to move. And so you mentioned the broken arm. you know, if someone comes to me, to a doctor and says, you know, this arm is broken, there's no judgment. It's not like, oh my God, you're terrible, you have a broken arm. You know, we look at this and we go, okay, good, now we know what's going on and now we can fix this, and we just start working with a customized plan to get you there. And then I'm telling you, you'll start seeing results in every area of your life, because again, energy is energy. It's not like energy just for this or just for that or just for this. Like, energy is affected in all areas and every category of your life. And so high frequency is where it's at. Raising the vibration, I know it's a great, like, kind of trendy, you know,
Yeah.
whatever, but there's really something to that. It's because frequency is real, and everything has frequency, and the higher and the better we can attune or align with God, who is frequency, love, who is frequency, and the highest frequency there is, then the more, uh, I guess, positive reinforcement and feedback we're going to start showing up in our field. And some people's field are only like an inch. Some people are inverted. Some people have a 20-foot biofield. And that all just depends on where you're at on the map of consciousness too, because God kind of built in this security system that if you suck as a human, you're not going to be able to duplicate that very well, very easily. But if you are loving and kind, your field can be 20 feet and you can just walk into a room and people feel love automatically without you saying words. So, or without you touching or hugging, but just your presence brings like an aware, like a happy vibe, you know. So, and we can do that through the internet even. You know, you've all had people that you've watched or had on your show, they were like, dang, I really like that lady, I want to see more of her, I want to hang out with her, like I feel better after talking to her, versus like, oh my God, I just, you know, I see your name on the caller ID and I'm like, not today, can't deal with it, you know. It's like you, those Debbie Downers, right, where you're just like, no.
Yeah, and it's interesting because as soon as you and I tuned on here today, I could feel my frequencies changing and I could feel the heart palpitations. And then I just had to kind of like just zone in and ask for the rhythm to just find its place and its harmony. So it didn't um, off skew my breathing, you know, because when you're doing something in a certain way, if you don't really tune in, then you realize, I'm shallow breathing or something like that. But I want to go back to something you're talking about. So we're at the time of year now with all this information coming in. The holidays are here. A lot of people aren't sleeping. Oh, it's just stress. Just had a long day. Oh, I had caffeine after 2. You know, whatever it is, you become a walking, living, breathing host for not just the parasites within all of that, but the darker non-God frequencies love to attach to all of that. And then that brings you down even further, and it's harder to get out of this syndrome. And then some people just, their rock bottom is different before they're actually going to step up and reach out and make a change, because once you become aware of something, you can't unsee it and unhear it. You've got to make the change, right? I mean, for whatever that is in the universe, but it starts with yourself. But sleep is huge. So I think it goes back to what I was saying. Doesn't matter what you think the catalyst is, this kind of work can help bring harmony to whatever it is that's happening. And of course, harmony and frequency is what counterbalances dis-ease.
Yes.
And all we're hearing right now is, oh, now 1 out of 25 is going to have colon cancer, even if you had a complete colonoscopy and it was slickety slick, clean and perfect 6 months ago, you're still a candidate. And you hear this all right now on the news more because of recent celebrity deaths. And you think, oh God. And then they'll even tell you, look around the room. 1 in 25 of you are going to have breast cancer. So people literally will go around and start going, is it me? Oh, is it you? Is it you? But if you can work on your frequencies, this crap doesn't have to be in your DNA lineage. Well, my mom had it, so therefore I'm going to get it. You can break the cycle.
Yes.
You can break the cycle by stepping up and doing self-service to here, first and foremost. So it sounds to me like you've got a whole different group of modalities that you can use to help an individual.
Yeah, epigenetics is real. We can shift anything. Just because you were born into it just means it's yours to fix. The way I look at it is, if you're an office manager and you walk in one day and it's 8 o'clock and you walk in the office and all the chairs are turned upside down and the computer's on the floor and cell phones are smashed everywhere and papers are all over, you don't have to call someone and ask permission to fix it. You're the
That's
office
right.
manager. So you just put things back into place and like get it done. And so when we do find something, if there's no judgment, it's just like, okay, well, this is ours to fix, and we clear it, and you go on your merry way of doing whatever you're called to do, and in the highest fun way possible, with ease, with joy, with great collaborations and fun and connecting with people. And who you hang out with is also important. And you mentioned a few times about how a lot of people are changing their circle groups, some on purpose, some without really maybe consent and or wanting it to happen, but it's just happening, based on ideas and views and a lot of things that have kind of popped up over the last 3 years. And again, the people who are rising and working on themselves through all of this, they're finding each other, and we're getting those new circles that, like you said, it's coming. If it's not here yet, it will come, but just continue to work on the inside of what's going on with you. And that's what's going to get your vibration to, because you only get a match, you only get what you are. So if we work on us, which may be counter, especially someone in service industry, whether it's ministry or healthcare or whatever, usually it's like, no, I'm in service, I have to work on everyone else. But again, it goes back to everything that we do in us is for everyone else too. And I think too, with women, and especially, there's not always time to work on us. We don't make time, and we don't make it a priority necessarily. Cancel clear in the past
Yes.
to put, if you have to schedule play, schedule play. If you have to schedule time to be with your husband, schedule time to be with your husband. If you have to schedule coloring for an hour, I have things, we have trips that we've taken where, have been so hectic and so packed with things to do, and such a schedule of like, then we got to go here, here, here. And it's just like, even setting it all up is so much energy. The last few times we've ever gone places, it's like, I'm on the no plan. It's like, I'm just want to go. I have zero plans. We're going to figure it out as we go. And that's opposite of my Virgo, like structural energy. But sometimes the no plan is where the big fun surprises land, and just going with it. And so I just encourage everybody, be aware, love yourself, take time for yourself, get outside, drink good water, eat well, juice, get grounded, do all the things, and as you align, meditate, all of those things, then you're going to start to see a little more opportunity here and there to tweak some things and to move, and you're going to start finding your people. And um, you got this, we got this as a group, and we're going to do better, and there's lots of opportunity to do better, but we are doing it, and you'll find the people who are going to do it with you. And that's important too, is finding your tribe, finding your group. And because even with that, there's energy. If I don't know you personally, I can say, who are your top 5 friends that you hang out with? And pretty much I can figure out you're pretty much like them. And so if you got poor friends who are overweight and don't care about their lives, and they're depressed all the time and negative about everything, complain about everything, yeah, that's probably going to seep through. So find some new friends as you're working through this, and don't even force it, just wait, just allow and let it come. And I'm in that situation with a couple things right now where, again, my Virgo, like, I want to know the end, I got to get this done, I got to set this up myself, I got to do it. And I've just had to catch myself and go like, relax, it's coming, because this is what my intention is. This is, I love when things come to me, and I just allow, and instead of just trying to make everything happen and forcing things to work.
Yeah, I'm not a stereotypical Virgo. I always call myself the evolved Virgo because I'm not anal retentive, and things don't have to be in the neat little packages and everything's organized. I find organization in some of my messes is where I find it. So I'm okay with that too. But
Awesome.
the only plan that should be is just to have a plan to go. Let the rest of the things fall into place, because adaptability is the name of the game, is to be able to play with all of this and then figure out where it feels the best
Yes.
in whatever situation it is. I go in, looking for tribes. It's like I'll go into a group, and I don't go into a group going, who here vibes with me? I say to myself, where do I vibe? Who, like I look at my own vibe within the group, and I don't look for someone to vibe with me. And then there's times where I may not feel it much at all, but I know that I'm anchored there to grid the energy and
Oh yeah.
just be a listener and
Yeah.
just be present, and just be more on the quieter side. I
Yeah.
might not agree with a lot of the things that are going on, but I'm not there again to convert and solicit and be around all like-minded people. I like the diversity
Yes.
sometimes, but
Yeah, and
as
it's
long as it's
okay
do
not
no
to
harm.
agree. It's okay
Yeah.
not to agree. I think people get stuck on having to have friends that agree with everything, and that's just not true. The real key is loving people no matter what, and just being able to be kind and to love people no matter what they think or agree with. That's huge. It's just that's unconditional love. That's truly loving people where they're at, loving us and accepting us where we're at, and we're, moving through that. But and that seems to be a theme in this whole thing, is like not controlling, not converting, not, pushing, but just
Mm-hmm.
allowing and being and working on ourselves and focusing on the things we can control.
Yeah, and let the beginners have
Thinking
their
that,
training wheels on. Help them balance if you can. Even if you don't have to say anything, you can help them energetically balance. And when they're ready to take the training wheels off, they're go. But we're not there to fix it and say, okay, let's get this going. We have 5 days to get these training wheels off, and you're going to go miles and miles down the road. And if you're first on that bike, that's intimidating. The first thing you're going to do is resist it. Like, I can't see that. I can't feel that. So all right. Well, I'm going to have your links in the description, and I want everybody to go to your website. And what's the new book you have out?
my newest book is The Science of Miracles, and it's really
Okay.
specific towards remembering. The tagline is remembering your frequency of love, and just getting into that alignment and to remembering that miracles and synchronicities are everybody's thing. Like, you don't need to be like a special person to have a miracle. Like, miracles should be normal. It should be natural. The supernatural should be natural. And so if you've been one who's had like a lot of negative outcomes of things, where you keep hitting these patterns that are not serving you, this is a great way to grab some things to just kind of move through it and to get to a better place and see some different outcomes that serve you well and your family. But yeah, go to swiftfire.org, get on the newsletter. I have a weekly show every Thursday at noon. We have different guests that come on and talk about different topics of ways that we can implement positivity into people's homes and through their lives. And but yeah, biofeedback, soul audits, lots of different classes on our website. And I'd love to connect with anybody who's interested in getting to that next place. And I just really enjoy helping people get to that next place.
It's a very rewarding feeling, isn't it?
It
When
is.
somebody wakes up and they get it, it's like, yes. And
Yes.
then to know that you were a part of it, not that it's your fuel or your food, but it's just like, yes, there's one more who just the light
Yes.
bulbs have come off and come on, and parasites are falling off, and they're feeling better, and it's empowering, because then they make better choices, higher choices for themselves,
Absolutely.
which is all about what you have on your website. So we're going to
Absolutely.
stay put there for a second. We're going to say goodbye to everybody. Dr. Charnel's links will be in the description, and we love your shares, your comments, your likes, so we can get this party moving around in the algorithm of social media and stay out of the bot confinement centers, because that's not where we're going. So we watch our words. All right. So much love, everybody. Say goodbye, Dr. Chanel.
Bye, guys. Thank you so much. See you around.